thank you for joining us today. Start with the statement, then we'll take questions. Coach?
Yeah, well, frustrating result for us today. Give Michigan State a lot of credit. They're playing great. They have a really good team, and they're really hot right now. They're very confident. Pieces fit. Getting really good play from a lot of places, and hopefully we can learn from some of the things they do really well. I thought we got off to a good start. We talked about that. Our starts have been poor the last few games. We really talked about that this week leading into the game. Thought we got off to a good start. Thought we executed well. Thought we had some movement, better movement with our offense. We were moving the ball a little bit. We knew we were going to have a little bit of a matchup, hopefully advantage with Nick, just with them always playing two big guys. We knew one of those guys was probably going to have to guard him, and we knew that was going to be something we were going to try to take advantage of a little bit, and we did at times, but they also did a good job. And that stretch in the first half is when the game got away from us. I mean, it was 17-16, I believe, and we took some bad shots. We had a couple turnovers. It allowed them to get out and run a little bit, and then we just kind of melted down mentally on both ends. We started having some breakdowns that we didn't have early in the game. Just thought we had a little bit of a meltdown there, during an 8-minute stretch. And if you do that against a really good team, you're going to pay for it in a big way. And all of a sudden we're down 23. And, we fought, would we get it back to 8 there or 9 at some point? I mean, we got fighters, but we have to play a lot better. Our guys are playing really hard. They really care. They want to win. We just have to play a lot smarter. We have to execute better on both ends of the floor, because every team in this league plays hard and everybody's good. So then it comes down to executing and being smart, not having breakdowns. We were going for shot fakes on guys that we shouldn't have, that were drivers. We were letting some of their better players get to their strong hand a lot on drives, little things like that. And we got to find a way to get Brooks to the free throw line. That I just have a hard time believing that guy's the most powerful driver in our conference. And, these last 3 games, no free throws today. I think maybe 2 against Purdue, maybe two in a Penn State game when they shot 45 and H. Baldwin shot 16. So I got to do a better job putting him in those positions. And I just feel like, he's got to get the respect on some of these drives that a lot of these other guys are getting, and which is frustrating because Brooks is not a 3-point shooter; he's an attacker. So to think that he's playing 37 minutes a game and doesn't shoot a free throw, that's just. And I'm not criticizing. I got to look at the film. I just find that hard to believe with the style of play. There's contact on every play when he drives, and I'm seeing Richardson go to the line and Akins go to the line and Fears every time they drive, they're getting fouls. So I got to do a better job as a coach at coaching that better and putting him in positions, because when things go, we got to be able to get to the free throw line, when you're having a hard time scoring. And we also have to get complementary, play. We know teams are going to put a lot of attention on Nick and Brooks, and that's going to continue to happen. And we certainly have to get more out of Ty. I thought Jalen showed some signs today, giving us 17. But, Justin Mullins, we have to keep getting our freshmen integrated, because they do have the ability to put the ball in the basket a little bit. And then our big guys, can we find a way? And I was proud of Keenan. Keenan hadn't played. I thought his energy was really good. I thought he brought a lot of positive things to the game today, especially for someone who hadn't really played much the whole year. So I was really, really proud of his minutes. I thought he was ready to help us today in light of Luke's injury. So anyway, I know I was talking too long. I'm open for questions.
Questions, Matt?
Coach, this is the second tough game for Brooks after a very strong start to the season.
Yeah.
How much do you attribute that to opponents with elite personnel like Purdue and Michigan State versus an increase in scouting or cold shooting?
Yeah, I think probably a combination of all of them, Matt, honestly. When you're number one on that scouting report, you're gonna get a lot of attention. And, we're trying to find ways where we're trying to move him around a little bit and get him in certain areas where he can maybe get freed up to get to his pull-up, to get to his drives, to get to the basket. Thought we did a few things that were positive there. And then, I thought he missed some shots he normally makes. He got some good looks today. Then, when he didn't make those early, I thought it really weighed on him as the game went on. But, give them a lot of credit. They rotated guys on him and did a really good job of trying to take him off his spots and being smart about not letting him get to the things he wanted to do. And then he missed some also. So I think your question is very valid. I think it was a combination of all three. And, I take it, look, I'm not one of these coaches. I'll take every bullet. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for how we play. I'm the leader. I have to set the tone. And if it's not going well, it's ultimately because of me. And so trust me, our staff, we're gonna get to work. We got a couple days. We got Maryland. Look, we've played 5 games. We've put ourselves in a little bit of a hole. We gave up a home game. That you don't want to be able to get. You don't want to give up your home game. So at some point in time, we're going to have to get that one back on the road. But we also, have had 3 of our first 5 on the road, and we've played really good teams. And there's a lot of good teams in this league, but I think our strength of schedule has been the hardest, in the first 5. And so that's part of it. You're going to have stretches, where, I watched our game last year here against Michigan State, and I think when we beat them, they went to 1-3 or 1-4, and they still came on strong and ended up making the tournament. So we didn't get off to the start here in the first 5 games we wanted to. Disappointing result, but there are still 15 more games to go. But it starts with finding a way to win on Thursday night, and that's what's going to be our full focus the next couple days.
Coach, entering today, 5 straight home wins against ranked opponents. Today couldn't replicate that. What do you think the difference between those games and today was?
I just think smarter execution. I think effort was still there. I appreciate our crowd. 11 a.m. on a snowy Sunday morning. Part of the year as a coach is like, man, are they really going to come out? But they did, and our crowd was great. It was a great atmosphere in there, and I wish we could have played better. But I think when you win, you look back on it as playing smart. And I think those are the things Michigan State is doing really well this year with this team. They know when rotations are there who the better shooters are. So they fake. We had 2 turnovers today when we kicked the ball out, and we're used to everybody just rotating, and we just kind of threw the next pass, and they weren't going to rotate because that was the lesser shooter. That's smart basketball. They sell calls well. Fears does a great job. I can complain all I want. He does a great job selling calls. When he gets hit and he shows it. And it puts a lot of pressure on the officials, to make calls. And so I give him a lot. I mean that in a complimentary way. Richardson did the same thing. He drove middle 2 or 3 times. Really, that's smart. That's gamesmanship. So we got to be better in those areas. We got to be more dialed in. We got to evaluate how we're doing our game preparation, because I'm just not pleased with the breakdowns we're having in the games. Like, our guys are doing a good job in practice, but it doesn't matter if you're not carrying that over for 40 minutes in the game. So to answer your question, I would just say smarter execution on both ends, and playing the game and playing winning basketball. And that has nothing to do with playing hard. Our guys are playing really hard. You don't come back from 23 down and cut it to 8 in the second half if you're not playing hard and fighting. We're fighting. But we have to play a lot smarter and a lot more efficient and a lot better on both ends if we want to win. Because this league, guys, there's no other leagues in the country. They have some teams that they call them get-right games, not the Big Ten. Not the Big Ten. There's no get-right games. Everybody's good. Everybody's well-coached. Everybody has a plan, and you better play well if you want to win, and we didn't get that done today.
Coach, as you just mentioned, you had that deficit down to single digits in the final minutes. What was the message at halftime when you find yourself down by 23 in some of those bigger runs in the first half?
Yeah, that was a good question. I mean, I think when you have a deficit like that, you got to play it in chunks. So what we talked about was each 4 minute, could we win the 4 minute segments? So we were down, I think, 17 at half, or 19. Sorry, they scored there in the last possession. We were down 19 at half. We said, hey, guys, by the 16-minute mark, could we shave 4 or 5 off? Could we win it by 4 points? So then you're not thinking about coming back from 20. Can you shave it? And we actually got off to a decent start. We won the first 4 minutes by 2. but then the next 4 minutes we won by 1. We never had that 4 minutes where we really won by 8 or won by 10 and kind of got it in real game pressure. But that's what you talk about, just possession by possession. Get a stop, get a score. Get a stop, get a score. Start stringing them. There's no 20-point plays, and you got to try to chip away the best you can. And we tried, but, I give them credit. I thought every time we kind of put some real pressure. Fears made a couple really nice plays at the end of shot clocks where he drove in, got a guy a layup. He banked one in from the elbow. I thought he did a really good job leading their team.
Chris?
So what makes Spears kind of a difficult guy to guard? I know that's a local kid from here, but what makes him so difficult, especially the game today, 11 and 8, the last I saw?
Yeah, true point guard. He had 12 points, 8 assists, only 1 turnover. He's running Coach Izzo's team the way Coach wants it to be run. He's pushing that ball. He's making sound decisions. He's taking open shots when they come. He's playing in the pick and roll game. He's very patient. He's a pass first guy. For them, to me, he's a big reason why they've made a big jump this year. Just that position alone, his ability to, and he's a leader. I've known that. I've seen him play since he's 15. He's always had a leading personality. He's a confidence to him. He's got a bravado that his teams feed off, and I love that. I love that, and he's playing, and it's great to see him back playing after his injury last year, and see him back, playing a game he loves.
Coach, why didn't Luke go today? And do you know if he'll have him for Thursday?
Yeah, Luke got hurt in our Purdue game. He came down and kind of jammed, had a little bit of a sprain in his foot. Nothing crazy. We feel very optimistic that it's not going to be a long-term thing. He wasn't able to go today, but he was in a boot for a few days, and now he's already back doing some stuff. He's running on the treadmill. So I know for him, he wants to be available on Thursday. We'll see. You got to be smart with foot injuries, but we don't think it's going to be something, that's going to be, knock on wood, that's going to be real long-lasting, but he just wasn't able to go today.
Middle?
Yeah, go ahead.
Basketball topic, but a little bit off topic from the game. Just as somebody who's so, ingrained in Chicago basketball and everything, and then of course with your dad,
Yeah.
being connected to the Bulls, I wanted to get your thoughts on Derrick Rose night and the Bulls honoring Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I got a chance to coach Derrick with the USA team in 2010. He was on our world championship team, so I got to spend a lot of time with him a whole summer. And I really got to know him. What an awesome guy, and just never really he just wanted to be one of the guys. He just wanted to be a good teammate, but what a freakish talent. And it was really cool for me to see him come to Chicago as kind of a local hero, and the way he represented himself to win MVP. I'm still heartbroken, even though, I remember the game, he got hurt. It was against my dad. My dad was coaching Philly, and it was game 2. The end of game 2 in that playoff series, and the Bulls had the best record in the league, and that was their year. And I'm really close to Luol is really close to me, Carlos Boozer really close to me, Chris. A lot of my Duke guys were on those teams, and all they did was rave about Derrick, as a teammate, and I think it was awesome what they did. Wish I could have got there. That night I wasn't able to get there. Our trainer, Jeff Tanaka, was the team trainer, so he didn't come with us to Purdue, so he could be there for Derrick. That's the kind of relationship they had. He stayed back and was able to be there that night, but looked awesome, and I'm really happy his number's going to go into the Raptors. He's a real special guy.
Time for a few more questions. The last.
Coach, you mentioned that stretch in the first half. I felt like a lot of those shots that were missed were 3-pointers, and I feel like you had some success early on with Martinelli for 6 points of the game, in the paint and mid-range. Can you talk about, the insistence to keep taking those threes when they're not falling?
Yeah, I'll have to really study the tape. The one thing you got to put in is they really clogged the paint on drives. And you have to kick the ball. So yes, Nick was having some success, but we also had 2 or 3 where we drove in there and we got shots blocked. They were really flooding the ball on drives and on Nick's penetration and on Nick's, and you have to be able to make some open ones. Did we take a couple bad ones? Probably. But I thought I have pretty good recollection. I thought Ty got a really good look coming off a screen. I thought Brooks had a couple really wide open looks. I thought Nick. So, we have to be able to shoot them when that's what the game entails, because if 5 guys are in the paint, you have to be able to have a balance there. You just can't go 5 for 25, and so I'm sure there are ones we probably could have kept in our pocket and maybe got a little bit better shot. But for the most part, that's what their defense was giving us. And we got to be ready to step up and take those shots when that's what the game gives you.
Averaging more points than they've averaged in, I think, like Skiles' senior year in 85,
Okay.
86. And I mean, what allows them right now, what makes who they are sort of an offensive team that can put up 47 in the first half on the road, those sort of things?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, a staple of Coach Izzo's teams has always been their transition game, and obviously their physicality on the boards and on the glass, and those are two things when you think Michigan State basketball. Those are the two things I think Coach Izzo, but then I think fast pace and rebounding. And this team is back to kind of vintage Michigan State in those two areas. I think Coach Izzo would probably be the first to admit to you the last couple years they weren't playing as fast, and they weren't as physical as they needed to be. And this team is. They have good depth. I think their depth allows them to play at a fast pace and create more. They're playing 10 guys. They're going to smaller lineups with 3 guards with Akins, Holloman, and Fears. Then you come in with Richardson. So you got 4 guards that are kind of manning the perimeter that are pushing that ball and attacking. And they have a lot of big guys. With Zoppala and Kohler and Booker and Cooper off the bench. You got 4 rotating force. So I think depth plays a big part in that. And I just think they're really connected. A lot of those guys, maybe Xavier Booker being the only one, these are kids that didn't come in top 10 players in the country. These are really good kid players that have been winning guys, that are tough-minded guys, that have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I just, I can tell Coach Izzo, I've been coaching against, I've known, I admire him so much. He's become a really good friend and a great mentor to me. He's been great to me in my coaching career. I could tell he really likes his team. And there's certain teams you could tell he doesn't like as much. He doesn't hold that back. You could tell he really likes because they're him. They play to his personality. They have great and they have great point guard play. Fears has been fantastic this year. So I think they have all the components to be, an upper echelon team, not only in our league, but I think nationally at the end of the year.
Second half, you're going down 23, but you come back. I think you went 17 for 22 at the line. Was that part of the strategy to lengthen the game a little bit?
Yeah, we were trying to attack. We were just trying to, look, we talked about in short segments getting back. You're down 23. There's no 20-point shot. So we talked about every 4 minutes, we were down 19 at half. We said, hey, guys, at the 60-minute timeout, can we cut this thing to 14? And then by 12 minute, can we cut it to 10? And we chipped away a little bit there early, but then, we were able to get it to 8. We have a lot of heart and we have a lot of, look, we haven't done the things we've done. We got a lot of winning in my locker room and kids that have died for this program. And so we're not going to lay down. And sometimes you get beat, guys. That's the nature of sports. Sometimes you get beat. These last 2 games, we got beat by really good teams, and we got to play a lot better. Then you got to evaluate, dust yourself off, and get back and fight. But I was proud of my guys for fighting back in the second half.
Do you have an injury update on Matt Nicholson?
Not a full update. He just, it was a little bit of a knee-ish injury. I know he just, but nothing. I got to get with our medical team. He was back on the bench. He felt like, it wasn't like he couldn't walk or anything like that. But a lot of those injuries we'll see when we get back tomorrow and kind of evaluate what he's looking like. But hopefully it was nothing serious.
Thanks, that'll wrap us up. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys.
Open up some questions for you guys. Charlie?
Nick, Coach mentioned how Michigan State's double big lineup is kind of advantageous for you. Why do you think that might be the case?
Yeah, they have 2 guys around 7 feet, so they can't move their feet as fast. So yeah, we knew coming into the game that I would have the advantage with foot speed.
Matt?
Nick, you were held scoreless in the first half against Purdue. How important was it to come out fast in this game, and what do you feel like you were able to do successfully?
Yeah, I just felt like I didn't have much pop coming into the Purdue game. And yeah, so I wanted to make it. I was super intentional about just having pop as soon as I got in the game. So.
Jalen, first off, happy birthday. Thank you. 17 today. What do you think went well for you offensively?
I was just trying to be aggressive. I feel like the last couple of games, I kind of started the games kind of slow, especially with foul trouble. So I just wanted to be aggressive, try to get on the line and, take my shots.
Jalen, you scored 10 points in the second half. How are you guys able to respond and keep that game competitive late, cut the lead to single digits in the final 2 minutes after a rough first half?
It was just about getting stops, to be honest. Like the first half, they got a lot of open looks, a lot of drives. So that's the only reason why we got back in the game. To me, I feel like we just got stops and we were more aggressive on the defensive end.
For either of you, Michigan State had a couple big runs there in the first half. What do you attribute that to when you guys, 23-4 run?
I mean, they're a good team, obviously. They play really hard. They're very aggressive. I think that's the biggest thing, and they're a really good rebounding team. So I feel like they beat us to the glass a lot, and that got them second chance looks and a lot of and ones and free throws.
Nick, you took a season-high 6 3-point attempts. Why do you think it unfolded that way, and were you happy with that shot selection?
Yeah, they were just playing off me all game, so it was really just, as for shot selection, like what's the best shot? I felt sometimes that they were off me, so I just shot it.
For either of y'all, going off of 3-pointers, y'all took a lot of them today and they just weren't falling. Was there anything you saw that made it happen that way, or just couldn't hit them?
Yeah, credit to Michigan State. They're a really good defensive team and they play hard. And yeah, they were just really locked in today on what they had to do to stop us.
Matt?
Nick, you've been part of the last 2 tournament teams. You're now 1-4 in the Big Ten, even though these were 2 ranked losses. Where do you feel like the team's at moving forward?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to evaluate the last loss, but we go one game at a time, so we just got to be ready for Thursday.
Any more questions?
Nick, this is kind of the second time this year where you were able to produce on a day when shots weren't falling for the rest of your teammates. How do you stay in it when you start to fall behind and be able to pick up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the flow of the game, My teammates obviously have a bunch of trust in me, so if their shots aren't falling. As for me, if I'm not playing well, I like to, find the hot hand. So, yeah, that's generally what it is.
You guys have had a rough go of it so far. I mean, you played 3 ranked teams. Iowa's real good, Penn State's real good. How has the tough challenge of the early season prepared you for the later stages?
I mean, it's to be expected, to be honest. I mean, we know the Big Ten's, probably the best league in college basketball. So every game's going to be tough. We know that. So it's just about building, each game and trying to be better.
Any more questions? All right, then wrap us up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.